lada moment pojawi się w tym lokalu wyborczym. To jest lokal wyborczy, w którym głosował 4 lata temu. To jest lokal wyborczy, w którym głosował także 2 lata temu podczas wyborów cząstkowych do amerykańskiego kongresu. Zatem spodziewamy się, że również teraz tutaj będzie, proszę popatrzeć na to, ile jest dziennikarzy, ile kamer, również są agenci Secret Service, policja, zresztą widać ich teraz w stronę lokalu wyborczego i co chwilę nad naszymi głowami lata śmigłowiec. Zatem spodziewamy się, że Donald Trump przyjedzie od tyłu do tego budynku, ale później, tak ma w zwyczaju, wyjdzie tym głównym wyjściem, w którym teraz wchodzą policjanci, podejdzie do dziennikarzy i powie parę słów do mikrofonów, parę słów do kamer, powie na godzinę 17 czasu polskiego. Była zapowiadana jakaś wypowiedź od Donalda Trumpa. Jest pewny swojego zwycięstwa, jest pewny swojej wygranej, to zresztą też wynika z mediów społecznościowych, które zaczęliśmy godzinę temu swoich zwolenników,
最后催票一下，大家可以在那个赞助区热好了，现在还有在赞助区催票一下。我们
stali w tych kolejkach, czekali, aż przyjdzie na nich pora, żeby oddać głos. Apeluję do nich, aby nie wracali do swoich domów i mówi o tym, że jest przekonany,
明年高中毕业去当好啊，大哥重建教育，
słowa Donalda Trumpa powtarzane jego twarzy. Rozmawiałem z Kanem Florezem. To jest jeden z członków zespołu prasowego Donalda Trumpa, który zajmuje się wywiadem państwojęzycznym, ale rozmawiał z nami. Proszę posłuchać.
这边的选民都是那种看起来超爆无敌有钱的美国白人，这里的选民超爆无敌。对，梁上会排队，大家看一下，墙上直接写这里人才人，然后那里也有一群人，那边是在打网球。对，民主党这些民制度上它不合，但是它那边比较难买，所以不确定他们到底买的，我是因为自己知道的。暴动啊！你有多带轻衣服吗？要打机票吗？暴动你要飞哪里？在哪里暴动？现在我要来一个亚洲多。右后方没有了，右后方是台湾帅哥，台湾帅哥，台湾。
Spodziewany jest jutro albo podczas tego przemówienia, zanim wszystkie wyniki głosowania Donalda Trumpa zapewne ogłosiło zwycięstwo.
觉得应该买，我现在搜索到也是觉得它是可以变哦，因为它是一点声音的。现在6分。有差吗？你看看，他等我下，我们大概就说。
semua lapangan tenis ada tadi juga di belakang saya ini ada area semua media itu bisa
大家等我一下，我画面跳出去一点点，大家等我一下，画面跳出去一下，等我一下哦。突然很安静，灯变蓝，没啊，灯一直都是绿的啊，好烦哦。灯一直都是绿的啊，那你觉得灯是绿的啊？来了吗？休克？有人手机上有新闻吗？帮我看一下 Harris 什么休克住院是真的假的？大家帮我看一下，因为我现在手机在。我先去，然后我先去拿牙签啊，等一下。好，连上了吗？我连上了吗？各位，我连上了吗？我连上了吗？各位，声音有比较好吗？声音有比较好吗？声音有比较好吗？各位，我行的吗？有看到我回来吗？有吗？有吗？辛苦各位了，看我直播已经多少钱，现在声音才搞好。啊，风声有比较好一点，声音有好一点哦。哦，他好像，sorry，我就是不听那个的话，我死都不听那个的话，所以终于我们现在终于有好一点的声音了。前面的直播真的是，好赞哦，好喜欢哦。哎，还是我从开始播啊，因为我刚收2段。这一段声音好，一段声音不好，然后这一段就是看他连我店员都装来了，真不厉害，感谢感恩赞叹神父。假的，那是监视。我刚刚讲过，感谢神父。上错人都你就把我当彩虹，对，前面直播有帅哥美女。好啦，所以我们不重开哦，第一段看帅哥吗？到底？好啦，那我重开，各位，我现在立刻重开，好不好？你们等我一下，我现在重开，好不好？等一下，所有人等一下再进来哦，我要重开了，我要重开了，所有人等一下再进来哦，重开哦。Yeah, so I mean I don't know. 好？好不好？反正现在就是第二段，我们保证一下，确认一下这一段可以这样子。他有手上有另外一个手机，可以等下帮我去确认一下我的 IG 有没有保留这段。声音现在 OK 吗？声音现在 OK 吗？680，怎么人类比刚刚多这么多？好，可能刚刚有人没有进来，所以呢，我们刚刚然后也是太好了。然后我们现在人我觉得很好笑，一群媒体台媒都在地上，什么意思？现在有700多人看我们都在地上。当记者真的很辛苦。真的哎，真的。真的，我觉得我脚麻了。我脚麻了。哦，影片跑得太好了。好，声音 OK。好，所以呢，我们现在所有人都在这边等，应该快了。所有的记者都讲说，就是很多人都准备站着，变瘦了吗？希望看到。我现在脚好麻，当会的。迈阿密气温怎么样？28度。因为而且我们看反向，之前是白浪的，刚会这样用反向镜头，我们叫做反向镜头，声音 OK， 大熊，谁是大熊？风很大，然后我笑死，然后我在那边笑死。然后刚刚第一段有没有人看到日本赛车？大家记得哦，如果没有看过第一段，可以回去看一下。大概到中间段就开始。相机电量吗？不是，我现在都关着。我现在都关着。那我刚刚换了一个电池，所以现在稍微车厢车风人会被吹走。对，大家等下可以看一个日本帅哥切拍川普配的。我跟你讲，现在川普还没来啊，所以你们现在如果看的话，就是2号，好不好？所以现在川普还没有来。如果现在川普来的话呢，我就会换这个画面，然后呢，我会拉，我就不会帮他出招，因为我要用相机拍，大家就记得看，好不好？我还没到，日本帅哥爆了。我刚刚大家第一站有看的话，知道我会换到日本帅哥的 IG。赞助多少可以看到帅哥？你这个，你这个星球没有人看，不是好不好？帅哥才是公共财，好不好？帅哥才是公共财。相机连拍要拍，没有我等下要录，我等下要录。想看川普配头发配这个风，真的，我会买那种上线动分享帅哥的 ID， 好啦，你们真的，而且我不可能他在讲283，川普10号40分，真的。我跟你说那一天我们吃东西，可以一直找，而且以后很久。录影要手持，对啊，我要拿我的脚架，手持啦，因为我的那个不好使，我觉得手持 OK 啊，没关系吧？是吧？等我。看我录一次。因为我的那个脚架把快门改成展示跟那个，那我是用 TV 还是用支架？100。现在在英国的话，这里快门改成我改了。然后呢，我还要改什么？你可救命！我还要改什么？我现在 TV 对我现在 TV 啊，然后嘞，我该改啥？你看嘛嘞，我该改啥？那个。对，然后呢？啊，还有什么要改？那我们可以建立一个新的热点。
студии перестаю слушать.
不能喝水又要一直说话。拜托，第二段直播听话，这样可以了好不好？那我就手持。现在可能是一个对，应该是一个偏听话的，外面反光什么？哦，这个对，没办法。第二段学习的。好了，那坐一下。记得我们在世界中心呼喊Trump在跟哪？帅哥现在被他很慢的，你就跟他们讲，那边有3粒针，接下来我先坐了一下，太好了，坐一下。3次开始，对，太棒了。还酷菜车。Okay, so but yeah, 打开看，有一点，哎，是看到，大家看到在影片上面。
Вечером здесь в самом разгаре ожидания Трампа. Вот это 100% очень богатый район, в самом избирательный участок 5604. По традиции голосуют все время. На прошлых выборах мы тоже это делали. Собственно говоря, с тех пор, как приехал сюда в Флориду, голосует 45-й президент США по месту прописки. Он не стал отправлять заявление в очередь, конечно, постарается сделать шоу. Здесь интересная электоральная ситуация. В этом округе Палм-Бич. Здесь, наверное, процент 60 голосует за республиканцев, но с позиции демократов сильны, поэтому там сегодня станет участвовать еще и с плакатами за Камалу Харрис. Немножко потому что его привезут с другой стороны, танки, стоящие на месте, сферы безопасности. Далее будут у нас, наверное, периодически видны сотрудники, ну, вот, которые штатские секретные службы, не штатские, это сотрудники офиса шерифа Палм-Бич. Чем знаменит шериф Палм-Бич? Это те самые люди, которые хотели вторую службу по повышению человек, который в свое время ездил в Украину и так далее, прятался за забором возле шерифа. Здесь сейчас конечно, сумасшедший. Приехал, вернулся в Флориду под утро, потому что вчера прошли 4 митинга важнейших экономических штатов. Мы закончили по традиции уже город Гранд-Рапидс. Спрашивайте меня, почему штат Мичиган, я, честно говоря, сам не знаю. Третий выбор подряд, просто такая традиция. Трамп заканчивает там свою выборную кампанию. И очень интересную цифру, которую он включил. Он посчитал, что за 9 лет работы в консервативном режиме он провел всего более 900 встреч с избирателями. То есть потратил все силы, которые были 78-летних кандидатов республиканской партии. А теперь надо полагаться на что? Удачу, на здравомыслие американцев, ну и на честность тех, кто эти выборы проводит. Здесь, конечно, всегда вопросы, даже не потому, что кто-то важный, а самой архаи и предвыборной системы в Соединенных Штатах. Она старая, она немая, она работает через выборщиков. То есть, когда вот таких много всяких важно какой считать. Проголосуют, скорее всего, 50 на 50, но тут тоже нужно понимать, да, ведь так как эта система не принимается, даже близкое голосование в Пенсильвании, все равно от нас все голоса одному кандидату.
他会看到你直播流量，真对。川普快来，真的，所有人都在等你。打招呼他都敢当说了，我都是不是那个我还在拍到镜头的专业人员。对呀，摄影师都不能看。
Даже большого пописать Маралаку стали большим выставочным центром. Ну и здесь, да, здесь помогают, потому что Флорида республиканский штат, и, видимо, психологически еще президенты республиканцев комфортнее. Ну а мы Трампу опять стали больше предпочтения давать Флориде. Честно, это все
Patrzę cały czas na ten śmigłowiec policyjny, który lata nad śmigłowami. Ten śmigłowiec, który tutaj wykonuje nad śmigłowami kumpla, to oznacza, że naprawdę tutaj się powinno natomiast są i agenci Secret Service, i policja, ja przed chwilą tutaj również sprawdzani wszyscy byliśmy przez agentów Secret Service, byli tutaj policjanci z psami i trochę to wygląda jak dzień świstaka, powiem, najpierw o godzinie
有 early voting 的票可以可以买，但是每一周 early voting 的票什么时候点不知道，每一周的点票时间都不一样，好很多哦。对，那个你真的是无敌耶，挺有无敌耶，那个真的是厉害。你可以开课的话，大家线上大家可以追踪那个在 IG 上，还有都会开一些摄影课啊，题材课，大家就可以看。对我来说，现在已经要准备所有的那些线上课，然后晚上回家我就说全部都是帮我记，真的就是不用哦，你都爱看直播吗？ 有一些州它是到了今天投票投完了，它才把所有的票拿出来。有一些呢是事前就说，哎，那我们可以提前投票。风声很大，然后波兰大哥已经开始在路线了。可是他想出去有吗？我就是不学感觉太帅了。全是有中间很多那种厉害的大哥，所以你就觉得有专业知识的感觉。日本偶尔来一下。
Niewykluczone podejdzie do nas, jest całe mnóstwo kamer, całe mnóstwo dziennikarzy, którzy są tutaj. Marcin Żogowski pokazuje teraz właśnie ten dziennikarski tłumek. Rozmawiam tutaj i z kolegami z Danii, z Rumunii, z Włoch, z wielu innych Donald Trump jest w środku i głosuje. Tak faktycznie jest to moment, powinniśmy go tutaj zobaczyć wychodzącego, bo jak mówiła koleżanka z lokalnej stacji ABC, po głosowaniu przechodzi tym, podchodzi do kamer. Było zapowiadane na 17 polskiego czasu. 17 ustawa zatem należy spodziewać się następującej kolejności wydarzeń. Głosowanie Donalda Trumpa, przejście do kamer, przejście do dziennikarzy, oświadczenie, jakieś kilka zdań skierowanych do dziennikarzy. Dagmaro, czekamy.
今天只有补选，选举人票有吗？选举人票都是1月6号，记得是这样。然后今天就是补选算补选的票，这样。大埔不喜欢在一起是啊，我的头发被切得越来越偏了。某州投票的人长辈已经开票，要看每一个州不一样，每一个州不一样。哦，他们在看来就是烦哦。 少廷啊，说打麻将，开始在这边修。大家知道，基本上普选出来就能确定吗？不一定，因为我跟你讲，我跟大家讲一下，有些州的普选，它的开票呢，它会有顺序的开。它比如说邮寄选票有人开到后面，然后甚至是有的州邮寄选票它可以收到10月9号，是今天11月5号投票日，可是他们可以推到11月9号之后邮戳的邮之前邮寄选票，所以很难讲，每一个州都不一样。我们要拉平选票，对啊，平选票，平选票那个太久了啦，大概开完我明天就开投票。然后12点椅嘛有，可是我放在那个晚上开票的会场，所以现在没有得手续，现在只能坐地上。对啊，所以就也不知道到底开票的状况怎么样。所有人啊，如果当大家都在等候。 上次的话是礼拜2投票，礼拜6大概才知道结果，礼拜6才知道。一站就快去买折叠椅，好的，谢谢大家。台湾媒体开始在练习，在拍。男子的挥手，没转，没转。晚一点会下雨吗？有可能。所以小时候30码好像我的开票现场是外面的，后面的一飞水就被一样，所以我没看到嘛。 My audience asked what's your name? Andy? Andy, say hi to my audience. How old are you? You look so young. Is that okay to ask? 27. Really young. Really young. Yeah, it is. It is. So how long were you to work as a photographer? 5 years. 5 years? So you were since that 22? Right out of college. Is that your dream job? Yeah, it is. Tiresome though. A lot of traveling, yeah. Yeah. No, 访问完了对 Andy. So I will post your Instagram account after this stream, so maybe you got few followers after this. Yeah. Yeah, okay.
可以下班。
可以下班。
不用等全部。
不用等全部。你看好像等我待下很久是不是？ OK， 他同学等一下我把他的那个 ID 账号放在群众里面。我还在想，让他看你去指责，到底这个是多少人？
才会细细算一算。
我没有摸你导弹出口没有摸。拜拜。 一样的啊。差5岁而已，还有一样的啊。一样的啊。Say hi to my audience. What? 音乐队。Yeah. 一样的。 刚刚人排队很奇怪，不要这样。因为安迪跟印度隔，因为他印度的，安迪是不是我们错一圈了？因为梦到，
就我梦到的。
结果，德华现在在台湾是，最近在台湾是有一个安迪。
Where would you like us here? Is this okay for you? How are you? Okay. Well, I hear, I don't know, the people you mean? Numbers of people? A lot of people. They'll be at the convention center at Mar-a-Lago. We have a lot of people. I've just been very honored to find out that the lines are long, and the conservative lines, the Republican lines, are very long. We got back pretty late last night, and it was an honor. It was a great honor. We had 4 incredible rallies and left Michigan late at night. Many of you were with us, and I hear we're doing very well. I hear we're doing very well. We did a great job in that we brought it back to the states, as you know. I believe in exceptions, as Ronald Reagan did. And we did a great job. We did something that they've wanted to do for 52 years. Yes, please.
Mr. President, you talk a lot about if you win, there are going to be tens of millions of Harris supporters who will be upset. What would your plan be to reach out to those people, bring them in? What would your message then be?
Well, it'll be just that. We want to bring everybody in. We want to be very inclusive, and we will be very inclusive. We have a great country, but we have a country that's in trouble. It's in big trouble in many ways, and we have to straighten it out. We have crime is through the roof. We have people pouring through our borders that are not exactly perfect. They come out of prisons. 13,000 people convicted of murder. We don't need this in our country. We have enough difficulty. We don't need that. So I think people saw that, and it just seems that the conservatives are voting very powerfully. Just finish it up. Go ahead.
How are you feeling? Nervous, anxious, excited?
No, I feel very confident. I have felt. You know, we went in with a very big lead today, and it looks like Republicans have shown up in force. So we'll see how it turns out. But it seems that they have really shown up in force. I just got a call from Dan Patrick in Texas. He said they've never seen anything like it. It's been very good.
Looking back, is there anything you would do differently about your campaign? Do you have anything you regret about how you ran this campaign?
Look, regrets. You always have regrets. I can't think of any, to be honest, to use her expression. I can't think of any. Look, I ran a great campaign. I think it was maybe the best of the 3. We did great in the first one. We did much better in the second one, but something happened. And this was the best. I would say this was the best campaign we ran.
President Trump, do you accept the possibility that you and Vice President Harris both might not get to 270 electoral votes by the end of tonight?
It should never happen. A thing like that should never happen. This election should be over. They spend all this money on machines. And frankly, if they'd use paper ballots, it would be over by 10 o'clock. And by the way, the paper ballots would cost 8%. Would be 8% of the cost. If they would use paper ballots, voter ID, proof of citizenship, and one-day voting, it would all be over by 10 o'clock in the evening. It's crazy. They use these very expensive computers, and I'm hearing in Pennsylvania they won't have an answer till 2 or 3 days from now. I think it's an absolute outrage if that's the case. Now, maybe it'll be later, but it's paper ballots in France. They went paper ballots because the mail-in was not working. It was corrupt. And in France, they went paper ballots. And at 10 o'clock in the evening, they had 37 million votes counted and done. They had a winner, they had a loser. And in this country, I mean, I'm just hearing that in certain states, it's going to be a long time, and it won't even be close. It won't even be that close. They say, I'm going to win the state, but it's going to take a long time to certify it.
Could you see a world where you don't declare victory tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I'm hearing the same things that you're hearing. I'm hearing states where I'm up by a lot, but they won't have a final number for a long time.
What are your plans for tonight in terms of watching the results and so forth?
So we're going to have a very special group of people, many of whom you know, and they'll be at Mar-a-Lago. In addition, we'll have 4,000 or 5,000 people at the convention center. On the assumption I win, I mean, I don't know if something else happens. I don't know what's going to happen in terms of declaring victory, but if in normal times I would go over to the convention center, let's say at 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock or something, but I just don't know. It looks like we have a very substantial lead. It looks like we have many more Republicans voting today than Democrats. So if you have a lead and we have a bigger vote, that means you're doing very well. But they have to call a winner. They should. And they should call a winner, yes. Just stop talking about that. Go ahead. Oh, I don't know. I was honored to get Joe Rogan last night. I mean, Joe Rogan's a big deal. He's a very respected person. And I must tell you, Megan was fantastic. She got up and said some things that were really pretty amazing. But before that, I just think we ran a good campaign. I had good policy. We want people to come into our country, but they have to come in legally. You know, we want strong borders, and we want people to come in. We want to be totally inclusive, but they have to come in. I think that was a big issue. To me, that was the biggest issue. I may be wrong. You know, a lot of people said inflation. Inflation's a disaster, but I think it's a second issue. I think the first is the border. We can't allow criminals to be put back into our country or to be put into our country. So you have 13,000 plus murderers allowed to roam in our country. Not going to be allowed. They have to go. You have drug dealers. You have terrorists. You have a tremendous amount of people that should not be in our country, and we need strong borders in this country. And I think people are voting. I think it's personally, I think it's the number one issue. We'll see how it pans out, but I think it's the number one issue. I don't have to tell them that. I don't have to tell them that there'll be no violence. Of course there'll be no violence. My supporters are not violent people. I don't have to tell them that. And I certainly don't want any violence, but I certainly don't have to tell. These are great people. These are people that believe in no violence. Unlike your question, you believe in violence. Go ahead. Well, I think I'll be at Mar-a-Lago for the most part. We have a lot of political professionals. I'm going over now with Melania, who I'm very proud of. She's got the #1 bestseller. Can you believe that? He can believe it. But so we're very proud of the job she's done with that. Her book is #1. But we're going to go over to the office in West Palm, and we're going to say hello to the workers. They've worked very hard.
Will Georgia kind of be your first indication of whether it's going to be a
I think so. I mean, I hear we're doing very well there in Georgia. I hear we're doing very well. I hear we're doing very well everywhere. Now, I may regret that statement, but I'm hearing that we're doing very well everywhere. Would you go louder?
Favor for
I haven't prepared a speech. No, I did speeches last night, all day long, all night long. At 2 o'clock in the morning, we left, and we did a lot of speeches. You can probably tell. No, I don't have to do that. You know, I'm not a Democrat. I'm able to make a speech on pretty quick notice. If I win, I know what I'm going to say, and I don't even want to think about the losing part. I would like to tell all of the people that are online to stay online. We have tremendous Republican lines, and I've been asked actually to say it. It takes a while. I'd like to just make the statement that I'd like the Republicans to stay online. Democrats, if they'd like, they can leave. But I'd like the Republicans to stay online.
Any additional pressure today, given the criminal cases against you that would proceed if you lost or go away?
I have no pressure whatsoever. I'm winning big cases. Those cases are all being won. The biggest case was the Florida case, and it's been won. I appreciate your nice question.
Sir, you and Mrs. Trump have been doing
No
this
pressure whatsoever.
for 9 years. Regardless of what happens tonight, is this your last campaign? Are you done after this?
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so.
How do you feel about it?
Sad and very fulfilled. I think we're going to have a very big victory today.
Mrs. Trump, how are you feeling?
Very good, thank you. Thank you.
If you win, sir, if you win, do you have a plan in place to start naming staff and cabinet officers?
We're already a transition team, but I don't like talking about that until I find out how we do. I mean, well, it doesn't. Look, we're not looking to do damage to Iran, but they can't have a nuclear weapon. So, my terms are very easy. They can't have a nuclear weapon. I'd like them to be a very successful country, but they just can't have a nuclear weapon. Well, I think Secret Service has been a little bit tougher, to put it mildly. I see more machine guns than I've ever seen in my life. We're surrounded by, I feel very confident with Secret Service. I think they've stepped up. Look, for a long time, they didn't give us the help. They didn't give us the assets, as they say, the manpower, woman power. They didn't give it to us. And we'd have rallies. You saw the rallies, 50, 60,000 people. And I'd have less people than Joe Biden, who had 5 people show up. And I'd have 55,000 people show up, and I had fewer people than him. So they should have done a much better job. And frankly, the president should make a very strong statement to the outside world, because I think my team is incredible. Look, they say it's the best run campaign they've seen. Some people said it's the best run campaign they've ever seen. But in order to make that stick, you have to win.
How do you feel compared to your past campaigns? Are you more confident now than you were about your team than you were in the last 2 races?
My team, I'm very confident in. Many of them are the same players. As you know, Susie, a lot of the people are the same players. They've been very good.
Mr. President, Oprah said at Harris's rally last night, quote, "If we don't show up tomorrow, it is entirely possible we won't be able to count the ballot again."
Well, I think it's ridiculous. Oprah, I was on her last show, or one of her last shows, and they picked the biggest people and all of that, and made a big deal. And I'm disappointed. I think Oprah's become a major divider in our country. And I think, frankly, she should be ashamed of herself. And you know who else should be ashamed? Fox. Because I've seen Oprah on Fox about 50 times making the same statement. And I think it's a disgrace what Fox does, because everyone thinks Fox is so pro-Trump. They're not pro-Trump at all. They've put Oprah on all morning long. That's all I see is Oprah. And, I do Oprah very well. She's been at Mar-a-Lago many times. Roger King had his funeral. That's the head of King World, which was Oprah's mentor, and Oprah chose the location. She said, Mar-a-Lago is the most beautiful place. Would it be possible to have Roger's funeral at Mar-a-Lago in the ballroom? We did it. The only time I've ever had a funeral there. And I think Oprah should be ashamed of herself to say that. She should be ashamed. She knows me. She wanted to run with me as the vice president. She was going to be the vice president. She wrote me a letter. It's in the book. And now she goes and makes statements like that. She's a divider. And Barack Hussein Obama is a divider, too.
You were concerned that you didn't concede the election in 2020 when you lost. You're concerned that if you lost this election, you wouldn't concede again. What do you say to those people?
I think they're crazy. If I lose an election, if it's a fair election, I'd be the first one to acknowledge it. And I think so far, I think it's been fair. I think there's been a lot of court cases. Both sides are lawyered up. Thousands of lawyers are involved, thousands, can you imagine? And part of that is because we have too complicated a process. If we had a piece of paper, watermarked, you know that paper is more sophisticated now than computers. It's watermarked paper. It's unbelievable what happens with it. There's nothing you can do to cheat. And it costs you practically nothing to run. Think of it. We spend hundreds of millions and billions of dollars on these campaigns. You could do it for 8% of the cost and have accuracy, and we wouldn't have to be worried about when is Pennsylvania going to announce. It's really a shame.
Last question.
Well, he knows exactly what, but that's only based on what RFK told. I don't think RFK wanted that. You're talking about Health and Human Services. Let me tell you, he's a great guy, RFK, and he's going to do pretty much what he wants as far as I'm concerned. He wants health for women, for men, for children, and I happen to agree with a lot of the things he says. The one thing I told him, and I've told you in speeches for the last 2 weeks, we got to keep him away from the liquid gold, because the liquid gold, we have more than any of it. It's called oil and gas. That one I'm going to handle. Well, I'd be honored to have him. Now, I haven't spoken to Howard about that, but look, if you think of it, he came in third, in running for president, right? He ran a very good race. He had obstacles. The Democrats just really unfairly put obstacles up, and hence Kennedy left the Democrat Party for the Republicans. Now, he's a very smart guy. He's a very caring guy. He's very popular, too. We get up and introduce him. The place goes wild. No, we love having him. And you know who else we'll love having? Elon. He's been great. And everybody, look, everybody. Getting Joe Rogan last night and Megyn Kelly, this is very inclusive. This is a movement. This is the greatest political movement in the history of our country. And even you people, and some of you are fair sometimes, but it's the greatest movement in the history of our country, and I've made that statement 1,000 times. It has never been challenged. It is the greatest movement, and we're going to make America great again. Thank you all very much. Thank you. Thank you. Nice to see you.
Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. This way. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. Come on. Come on, Jack. Thank you, press. Thank you, press. How about you?
Thank you,
I did.
Should we just get out of here then? Yeah. Let me know what I can carry for you. Yeah.
Election Day. Polls are open and everybody's focus is on key battleground swing states. Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, and the state where I'm focused today, North Carolina. 2, big endorsement for Donald Trump from Joe Rogan. 3, Dave Portnoy, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton, Brooks Singman, Jimmy Fallon, John Ashbrook. A massive show today in a special Election Day episode of The Will Kane Show. It is The Will Kane Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, on the Fox News YouTube channel, and the Fox News Facebook page. Always on demand by subscribing if you're listening on terrestrial radio, market to market, across this great United States of America, by heading over to Apple or Spotify and hitting subscribe. There is already a group of thousands joining us on Facebook and YouTube. Here's what I'd love for you to do. We're going to have big, jumbo-packed editions all week long of The Will Kane Show. So drop down into the text description of this live stream, and there's a little button that reads subscribe to The Will Kane Show. Make sure you do so. Hit subscribe, and then you can set a reminder each and every day, because we're coming to you today at a special time from a special location. 10 a.m. to 12 today. 2 hours, packed full of guests, live in North Carolina, the sweet spot, Concord, North Carolina, one of the key 7 battleground states. Kamala Harris and Donald Trump making their last pitch to voters. Here is the last pitch from Kamala Harris.
So, America, I am asking for your vote. And here is my pledge to you. As president, I pledge to seek common ground and common sense solutions to the challenges you face. I am not looking to score political points. I am looking to make progress. And I pledge to listen to those who will be impacted by the decisions I make.
There's the last-minute pitch from Kamala Harris. Good morning to everyone watching. Good morning to the boys in New York. Good morning to the Willisha. You watching, you are the Willisha. So jump into the comments section. Tell us what you think. What's going to happen? Will it be that last-minute pitch from Kamala Harris, or will it be the pitch from Donald Trump? We'll bring your comments into the show as we make you a member of the Willisha, because here now is the last-minute pitch from Donald Trump.
A vote for Trump means your groceries will be cheaper. So many people mention, I go in, so many people mention groceries, that beautiful but simple word, groceries. Sir, my groceries. You don't think of it that way, but that's what they mention more than anything, my groceries. Your paychecks will be higher, your streets will be safer and cleaner. Your communities will be richer, and your future will be brighter than ever before. This will be the golden age of America.
Groceries. Not many people think about the word grocery. Such a beautiful and simple word. Focusing on the economy. That is his closing argument. Boys in New York, the Willisha, Two-A-Days Dan, Young Establishment James, Tinfoil Pat. He's also said, such a beautiful and simple word, tariffs. He's got some words. He's got some words that are simple to be remembered as his closing argument is about the economy. I see you, Young Establishment James.
It's a Diet
Cheers.
Coke.
Good morning.
Happy
Diet
Coke for
day.
good luck.
Happy Election Day.
Young Establishment James in a suit and tie,
Yeah.
dressing for
Right,
the
looks
occasion.
good.
Glad to see you got dressed up.
I didn't wear a hoodie today, so.
Where's your tie, Will?
No tie. Barely a coat usually here on the Will Kane Show. I've been spending my morning in North Carolina. I've been at the sweet spot here in Concord, North Carolina, talking to voters. In fact, I just want to introduce you to one who hung out, wanted to talk a little bit longer. Charlie over here has been sitting around. He said, I would love to talk to you, Will. Good morning, Charlie.
Morning. How are you?
Good. So I'm going to have you lean into the mic. We're going to talk together here. So first of all, you served in the military?
I did for 10 years.
We appreciate your service. Thank you, Charlie.
Yep.
And what's important to you today?
The strength of our democracy and the soul of our nation, to be honest.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell you, what do you mean by that, the soul of our nation?
So I think that this entire election is about determining, who we are as a country, and are we gonna be a model for the world? Are we gonna defend the world? Or are we, I spent, like I said, 10 years in the military. I'm very concerned about our role in the world,
right,
and how we're perceived by our allies, and the stability that we provide to the world.
And where does that lead you? Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
So to be honest, I think Kamala Harris is more of a stabilizing force in the world. I think that Donald Trump is very divisive. He's a threat to NATO. He's stated that many times. He's definitely a threat to Ukraine. I think he has an unnatural relationship with Putin and with other world dictators out there. I think that's very concerning for anyone who's served in the military. That's it. I mean,
may I offer a counter perspective? Have you already voted today?
I have.
You have. You voted.
Yes.
Okay. I take it you voted for Kamala Harris.
I did.
My rebuttal to that, honestly, Charlie, and we're just two guys sitting around having coffee in a diner this morning.
You're a good guy. I don't doubt that.
Thank you so much. I never questioned your character.
Right.
But my response to that would go as follows. In order for the United States to be a leader on the world stage, it can't just be in the group on the world stage. It can't look like every other country. It can't look like Sweden. It can't look like Germany. It can't have the same ideas or the same ideals. Otherwise, we will just be Europe. And throughout our history, we have been a model because of our unique values. From frontiersmen and pioneers to capitalists and entrepreneurs, I just believe the United States has set an example for the rest of the world to follow. And for me,
yes,
that is more not just embodied, but championed by Donald Trump.
So again, not questioning your character, right? But I'm going to point out a couple things. Donald Trump's rhetoric is very racist Its tone is very divisive.
No, Charlie.
And that, absolutely.
No.
To deny that is to deny the obvious.
No. That's what. Give me, just so we can have a conversation that is
dog whistles
productive.
all the time.
Give me one example.
You know, I mean, just recently with the Madison Square Garden.
I was there.
Debate. Great.
So
you heard it.
No.
You know,
what line? What in particular argument are you referencing?
All night long, there were references where you can basically script it, where there's the whole Puerto Rico is an island of floating trash, right? And you can say he didn't know anything about it. It wasn't his fault. Or you could say, hey, the whole evening was scripted, and they already had a scripted response, and it's basically a dog whistle
other than a line from
people.
Other than a line from a comedian, just Tony Hinchcliffe. Can you give me a line? Can you give me something specific to back up your claim that what Donald Trump said, his rhetoric, was racist?
I'm not going to play that game, but let me say this.
The game of specifics.
That's fine. The perception out there, okay, whether you want to admit it or not, the perception is that he's a deeply racist, deeply divisive leader, and that does not put America in a good light. And this is an election for the soul of our nation.
I totally agree.
And so, do you want our allies to look at us as a racist, divisive nation? Because I guarantee you, our enemies want that.
So,
and Putin desperately wants us to be divided so that he can gain.
I've heard your perspective this morning. I appreciate it. I know you stuck around because you wanted to share your perspective. And I didn't know your perspective before we came on air.
That's true, you didn't.
What I would say to you is I'm not concerned with perception. I'm concerned with reality. And until we can live in reality. No. There's objectivity and there is subjectivity. And until you can prove a case with evidence and specifics, you have no real reflection of reality. You just simply live in a world of shadows. You live in a world of echoes, of rumors. And I would encourage you. I was there at Madison Square Garden. I would encourage you. Go back and listen to any speech of Donald Trump, any specific. And when you can come back, I've got to go because I also have guests waiting to jump on the Will Kane show.
But perception is reality.
I disagree.
It is reality.
I disagree.
Okay, well, you can live in a dream world, and I'll live in reality. And reality is where perception does matter. Yeah. And our allies are depending on us, right? And if we are perceived as divisive and not supportive of the world order and NATO, then the world's going to become a much, much more dangerous place than you think it is.
All right. I appreciate it, Charlie.
I appreciate you.
Yeah,
right.
You're welcome.
Right, take care.
All right.
Good luck, everybody.
There you go.
Vote.
There you go. I disagree with Charlie, obviously. Didn't know what his perspective was going to be as we went on the Will Kane show today, but that's okay. This has always been a home where we can have that disagreement. I would say for sure that I do not believe that perception is reality, that dream worlds are worlds that live in something other than objective reality. If you live in echoes and repetitions and you can't give something specific about why you have a feeling that Donald Trump is racist, then you're living in the world that is a dream. Let's bring in now one of the hosts of the Ruthless podcast. John Ashbrook is joining us now. The Will Kane Show. They have a special Election Day episode. This already gone up. You can go over, I'm sure, on Apple or Spotify or anywhere else and download the Ruthless podcast. I don't know, Ashbrook, if you were just listening to that conversation, but I'd love your contribution.
Well, first of all, Will, I just want to thank you for having me on. I mean, I'm a proud member of the Willisha over here, and I really do think people need to like and subscribe to the show because everybody needs to see what you're doing. You're having a real conversation with people of all different perspectives, and you got to tip the cap to Charlie and the service he provided to this country. The guy certainly earned the right to have a perspective and offer it. Where I would disagree with him is on his concept of perception. How do leaders around the world perceive President Trump? Well, they perceive him as a very strong leader. When he was president, we didn't have a gigantic war going on in Ukraine. When he was president, we didn't have war in the Middle East. There were the Abraham Accords. They were moving towards peace in that region. Afghanistan was an absolute disaster that was perpetuated by the Obama administration. And so when I think about how people perceive President Trump, I think of strength, and strength is what we want others to see in America.
So I want to follow up on that, and we'll use, unexpectedly, Charlie's opinion as a golf tee for you and I to see if we can drive this ball forward. On this note of perception, first of all, there's the philosophical debate, right? And that is, I don't believe perception is reality. I understand the point that people can live in worlds that are divorced from objectivity, and they can live in their own subjective bubble. But that doesn't mean the way it's supposed to be. Like, I believe sanity, John, is the pursuit of an objective reality, understanding the world around you. That's how you find truth. And so the perception that Donald Trump, for example, is a racist, you heard me press him and, like, give me a specific. can you quote a line? He did mention Tony Hinchcliffe's joke, which was a joke and wasn't uttered by Donald Trump. But I often find that characterization, that accusation, Donald Trump, he's a racist, he uses racist rhetoric, can never be backed up by specifics, John. And therefore, it's never evidenced. And it's therefore never living in reality. It lives in this world. I've talked about like Plato's shadows on a wall. I'm sure you're familiar. It's a philosophical allegory from, thousands of years ago of people that believe shadows from a campfire are reality versus those that cut themselves free from the chains and go see the world around them. The world around you, you have to evidence, you have to examine. And I don't think there is a good piece of evidence to show or back up the idea Donald Trump is racist.
Yeah, it's nothing could be further from the truth. And they have to make things up about Donald Trump because the truth is he was a very good president for this country. The truth is he actually has an uplifting closing message about fixing the problems in this country, very specific about grocery prices in the border and everything else. But look who he surrounds himself with in these closing days. Watch his closing ads. I'm sure that everybody watching this show saw on Sunday during the NFL games, he had this message about returning America to where it should be. It's very inspirational. Right. And anybody who gives any sort of an objective look at what President Trump is saying and doing here in the closing days of this election comes away with the idea that this guy wants to be the president for everybody. It's not just a narrow group of bureaucrats or people who agree with him. He wants to be the president for everybody.
The other odd thing, John, is like, okay, the Madison Square Garden rally is accused of being a Nazi rally, right? And then people show how many Israeli flags were flown at Madison Square Garden. Worst Nazi rally in history. Same thing with the accusation of racism. Donald Trump is going to most likely score one of the largest Republican percentages of the black vote in, I don't know, half a century, maybe in a lifetime for a Republican. Same thing with Latino. So if he is so racist, wow, worst racist in history.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, to be honest with you, Will. The guy was a good president, and he is going to be a great president in this second term. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. And if you look at the number of people who are coming out of the woodwork supporting the guy in numbers, like you say, higher percentages than previous Republicans have seen from these minority communities. I mean, he's getting support from Latinos. He's getting support from Arab Americans in Michigan. And that's a real problem for Democrats' hopes tonight.
Right. The other part of Charlie's argument to me, John, about perception being reality is he was very concerned about the way that Donald Trump is viewed by NATO, by the German prime minister, by the rest of the world. And you talked about, of course, we together can analyze the world. We can see the state of the world, war in Ukraine, war in the Middle East, horrific pullout of Afghanistan. But I think there's also this other thing. There's this different view of how America should behave in relation to the rest of the world. I find that many on the left, and Charlie was a supporter of Kamala Harris and opposed to Donald Trump, want us to be a member of a gang. I don't mean that in like a criminal enterprise. What I mean is like we're all neighborhood friends, and we all are of equal value and equal partners, and we need to get along. And that's the way, and he even used the words world order. Well, that's not how I see America's role, and that's not what I aspire to for an American leader. What I want is, honestly, what Donald Trump has embodied. Like, no, we're America, and this is the way that it's going to be, and this is the way that we're going to do it. And if you want to follow our lead, then we welcome you into our coalition. But if you don't, you don't have to become our enemy, but we're not going to pretend that you're our friend, and we're going to foot the bill for your defense. If you hate us and our values and who we are as Americans, then why do we have to continue to pay for your defense? I just think it's more like, I'm trying to think of the right analogy. It's not first among equals. It's first, period. We are America first. And then I will leave it up to you as a free country to choose whether you want to follow America.
Yeah, no, I mean, you said it so well, Will. The reality is when he was president in his first term, he forced NATO partners to give more, not just rely entirely on America to do absolutely everything for them. And then they get to say what goes. America says what goes. And that's the way it should be. If we want to continue to be a great nation, we have to have a strong posture around the world. We just do. And people, other countries, they have to respect that. And President Trump,
and they do. They respond to strength.
They do. They absolutely do. I mean, just look at what happened after Biden showed so much weakness in the Afghan pullout. I mean, you talk to experts. We have a number of them here on the Ruthless Variety program. But you talk to experts, and they say that the war in Ukraine and the movement in Ukraine is directly related to the weakness that was projected out of Afghanistan. And I'm telling you that with Trump back in office, he will put America first. And that's so important. And, you know, one of the things that J.D. Vance always says that I love is that America is not just an idea, it's a nation. There are people who live here that depend on this government to continue to be strong on the world stage. And I just really, really hope he wins tonight. I feel pretty good, but I think it's essential that this guy gets across the finish line.
John, that's an interesting point that you made, because I would say in the past I would have been somebody that embraced the idea that America is an idea. And the reason that I would have embraced that is because I think we have unique ideas in America, like in the course of human history, unique ideas enshrined in things like the United States Constitution. But what I've grown to appreciate is we are also a nation based upon those ideas, and we are a people that ascribe to those ideas. That's the point of, like, immigration, assimilation, controlled immigration, buying into the nation state that embodies those ideas. And I've really come around, and I hear you describe that with J.D. Vance. I want to do this, John. I want to bring a third person into our conversation. He's the host of the Buck Sexton Show, or the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton Show. He is also the host of the Buck Sexton podcast, which you can see on the emblem behind him right now. He's a host of many shows, and I'm very appreciative of him showing up. Buck and I worked together many years ago at the Blaze. We don't work together often enough today, but I always love having him when I can get him on the Will Kane Show. What's up, Buck?
Will taught me how to do TV. So, like, when I was on Bill Maher recently and all these leftists were saying that I should go, like, jump off a cliff, I was like, if you didn't like the performance, at Will Kane on Twitter, blame him.
Buck, do you like it? Like, you've had some experience. You know, I look at Scott Jennings on CNN, who I really respect what he does. He does a great job night in, night out, taking on five leftists. It's always 5-on-1. That's what I had when I was at CNN. Buck, you were at CNN. That's what I had at ESPN. And the truth is, I like the dynamics. Did you like it on Bill Maher?
Well, look, it gives you an opportunity to flex a intellectual muscle, I guess, that you don't often get these days in conservative media, which is that live combat thing. And look, I know a lot of people do the thing where they show up at colleges and they have some, emotionally incontinent, like, freshman in gender studies who's got like a purple strand of hair who's like, like, that's not really getting you where you should go, I think, sometimes with this stuff. Like, you actually want people who can make their argument cogently for the other side, or at least make their argument from the other side. So, yeah, I like that part of Bill Maher. Like, I like that you get to sort of put on the brass knuckles a little bit. And it's unfair, right? So that's the thing. It's like the final scene of Gladiator. Like, you've already been stabbed and they're putting the armor on you, but maybe you show Commodus what's up. So that's the play. That's the plan.
Buck, you're just joining us. John was here. I had a diner here. I'm at the Sweet Spot in Concord, North Carolina. And I should say, for anyone watching, here's what's fascinating. All morning long, I was surrounded by Trump supporters. That's who shows up. If we're going to be honest, that's who shows up at a Fox and Friends diner. And they were very enthusiastic. I did have a man stick around, and boy, he stuck around. He's like, I'm going to take my daughter to school. Can I come back? And I'm like, sure, if you really want to talk. I rarely vet. He was a big supporter of Kamala Harris. So we had a conversation, and that set up John and I's conversation. The point of me talking about that dichotomy this morning, and I'll start with you, John, is how do you feel? Like, even among the people this morning at this diner in Concord, North Carolina, felt a bit nervous. They felt a little 50-50 about the way this is going to go down today and the next couple of days. How do you feel, John?
Well, I mean, if you look at the polls, everything is in the margin of error in the key states, so there's plenty of reason to be nervous. But what I've watched closely over the last week is this early vote return. And if you look in the state of Pennsylvania, for example, Democrats' early vote return is 600,000 below where it was in 2020. And a lot of people say, well, it's different now because in 2020 we had COVID, so people were voting differently. I don't think that it's that different. Maybe it's a little bit different, but if Democrats must be off their targets, or Jim Messina wouldn't have said over this past weekend that this early vote is scary. He said that with Jen Psaki on MSNBC, a Democrat talking to a Democrat. David Axelrod said that he didn't think that they should count on Election Day vote for the Democrats. So I feel like that's reason for Republicans to be confident, but it's awfully close.
All right, I'm going to let John Asper go. I want you to go right now, wherever you are, Spotify, Apple, Fox News Podcast. I want you to head over and subscribe to the Ruthless Podcast. It's awesome.
Wait,
you guys are awesome. And they have an Election Day special.
Ruthless Podcast. I want to go on this podcast.
Yeah,
I've been wanting. I'm pitching myself. You tell me when I can come hang out on
there
Ruthless. It's a great show you guys do. Sorry, Will. I'm just saying.
Anytime, Buck. Pleasure to be with you.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Glad to play matchmaker. Buck Sexton will soon be on Ruthless, and you should download the Ruthless podcast to ensure that you can get that episode featuring Buck Sexton. But we have Buck today here on the Will Kane Show. All right, do you share John's perspective? Are you feeling confident, Buck, for Donald Trump?
I think he gave the astute professional perspective as to where we are. Right. I think that is totally spot on in terms of it's very close. These are the dynamics at play. I take a more, I don't know if this is just going with my gut or something. I just think Trump's going to win. I think that, and I never honestly was in that frame of mind before. I voted for Trump now 3 times.
Really?
Right. And each time previously I voted for him, I was like, I don't know. I mean, it would be great, but I was worried in 2020 just because of COVID and BLM and all that stuff. I was not super confident. I mean, I thought it would be close, and obviously it was. 2016, it felt like this, wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be a miracle? And sure enough, it happened. So this time around is the first time where I just feel like they've run, and we could sit here for truly hours and go into all the missteps, the lies, the absurdities of the Biden-Kamala campaign. It really is a 2-person campaign, right? I just feel like this time around, we've learned a lot of lessons of 2020. And we're like the team, I know you get to hang out with Clay sometimes, and he's teaching me the sports commentary a bit. But we're like the team that if we just run the football up the middle, I believe we will win. Like, you could always fumble, right? You could always mess things up. And if people don't show up today, that's what that would be. But to me, if we just do what we have prepared to do, we win. That's how I see it.
There's going to be something. I'm going to have this conversation today. And actually, you bringing up your co-host, Clay Travis, will be kind of interesting on this front. I also have Dave Portnoy coming up from Barstool Sports. And with those two guys, you see people who have changed over time, perhaps in how they see the world. I think, Buck, you and I overlap. I've known you for a long time. And if I think about why you would support Donald Trump or why you would vote Republican, and somebody was asking me about Buck Sexton.
Going on 14
I would say,
years, Will. Going on 14
we've known each other.
years now. Old. We are old. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt your flow.
I know. This fruit isn't quite as shiny as it used to be over here in North Carolina. You're still a young man, Buck. The thing is, we would talk about policies. You and I would. We would talk about the impact of policies that we feel like are rational, that make sense. You have a different experience than me because you grew up in the Northeast. You went to Amherst, and you used to tell me about this, a direct face-to-face daily interaction with what you would probably describe as the left. And it had a reactionary force on you. But I also think that, Buck, isn't probably, I'm guessing here, at the core of your being. This is where I think you and I overlap. I had a young guy come up to me and one of these times said, well, what's most important to you? And it's hard for me to just say the economy or gas prices because the truth is, it's like, what's most important to me is really a philosophical idea about what America is supposed to be. Like, it's not in question. It's part of our character as individuals. It's part of what's written down in our founding documents. And it is deep. And for me, that is the major driving force. You love history and you love philosophy, Buck. I'd have to think, like, it doesn't, I mean, yeah, Donald Trump has his own unique ways that he addresses that. But that's always been what's animating for you, I'd assume, Buck.
Oh, absolutely. I watched some of the Elon Rogan interview that just happened as well. Occasionally, when my wife, I feel like, should be listening to the Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show, I'll hear Joe Rogan's voice somewhere in the house, and that's always I'm like, honey, hold on a second, I think we're live on 500 stations. Like, what's going on? That doesn't sound like me or Clay. But no, I was listening to it with her actually after the show, and I think when Elon talked about the destruction of individuality and the destruction of merit, I mean, if you're trying to get down to where I view the real divide on a first principles or foundational principles level with where the Democrat Party is today, when the Republican Party is today, I think there's many different ways that I would do it, but I think that's actually a pretty good way for the moment that we find ourselves in right now. I think that Kamala Harris is in many ways the epitome of, or the ultimate exemplar of somebody who is a creation as a politician of the machine, without any particular gifts, skills, or accomplishments, but fits into this broader narrative of how we need to redistribute power, not based on merit, but power based on the whims of the left and the collective. So, and just also the eradication of individuality, I feel like that's something that we see from the left everywhere. So that's, I'm borrowing from Elon on this, but I feel like this election in particular, especially with some of the big crossovers or changes from people like Elon and David Sachs and these people that have come over, they realize that there's this truly oppressive hive mind that has seized the commanding heights of the Democrat Party, and there's a deep philosophical difference, right? This is not the tax rate should be 39%. No, it should be 30%. Exactly. This is, what is your relationship to this nation, and what does it mean to be an American, and what is your relationship to the Constitution? I view that as very much on the ballot, as the Democrats like to say.
I do as well. And it's interesting, Buck. You probably joined on a little late, but I had a little mini debate with a diner here who said this is about the soul of the nation and accused Donald Trump of racist rhetoric. My feeling, I'm the same as you, like that concept of individualism is core to who I am. And I see the other party embracing anti-individualism, identity politics. And honestly, I'm not just trying to hurl probably what is a cliched bomb, but hurl a bomb. But I actually think Kamala's the one that embodies racism. Like if you do reduce people into identity politics and the color of their skin and demand they think or vote a certain way based upon that shallow characteristic, what could be more racist?
Oh, absolutely. And I, you mentioned I've been a conservative. Clay is a convert to the right. I've been a conservative for as long as I can remember having thoughts about politics. I mean, going back to at least freshman or sophomore year in high school, and I admired William F. Buckley, and I used to read the National Review guys. I even read the Weekly Standard for a while. I was one of these kids in high school. But one of the things that earliest on, before I thought of it even as a point of political philosophy, I went to a very unique high school where it wasn't diverse because people said it should be diverse. It was diverse just because that's the situation, right? Like there was a test to get in. You had to get a certain score on the test, and then you got a full scholarship to go to the school. And the average income in this school, sorry, I promise this will all tie in a second. Everyone's like, what is he talking about? The average income in the school when I was there was substantially less than the average American household income. You had a lot of people who were receiving state benefits. And so maybe it was like 35 grand at the time. I mean, this was back in the 90s. And I just remember that there were first generation Vietnamese and Korean, children of immigrants in my class. And then there were Black and Hispanic kids in my class. And it was just understood that the rules were going to be different for college admissions. The rules, I think, were often different as well for disciplinary action. There were always these different standards set up. And whenever I would hear an adult try to explain to me why that is fair, why that makes sense, even as a young person, I was just like, well, that's just not true. That's just a lie. Like, we're all humans of equal dignity. We're all equal in the eyes of the law and the eyes of God. Like, we shouldn't be treated, somebody shouldn't look at this and say, you are Korean, but you are Black, therefore we're going to look at these things differently. I think you fast forward now 30 years to today, and Kamala Harris in many ways is the embodiment of that philosophy of that we treat people differently based upon historical narrative, skin color, all of these kinds of things. And I just think it's fundamentally wrong. I think it's fundamentally indefensible. Really
quickly, Buck, your and my path is very similar. You know that. I worked for a little while with National Review. I'm a big admirer of William F. Buckley. I never was a big Weekly Standard guy because I just was never that neocon. But what do you think's happened to so many of our old friends? Like, I don't want to throw names under the bus. I actually like some of these guys, but they went from never Trump to indistinguishable from the left. Like Bill Kristol, I'm happy to use that name. Bill Kristol is indistinguishable from Kamala Harris.
He's a Democrat. I mean, this is we just need to be clear, right? If you're supporting Democrats, believe in everything Democrats want to achieve for the country, and voting for Democrats, you are in fact a Democrat, right? I think it's easy to get a little bit caught off
philosophically, Buck. To your point of first principles, you don't even represent, and you and I have a lot of names that are very famous. Yeah. I'm like, I don't even understand anymore how you're so far away from the original first principles.
Yeah, I think that, from my perspective, and I think, I follow your work well, even though we're not sitting at a table together every day as we work for years. I think you take the approach as well as, I'm never looking to attack or tear down anybody on the right. I view it as like we're all broadly speaking on the same team with those same shared principles. I would argue that there are people who have truly abandoned those, however, and they are now. I mean, Joe Scarborough, I watch Morning Joe. I don't know if you know, let's talk about it on radio, Will. I watch Morning Joe like almost every day. Not the whole thing, obviously, but I'll watch their opening monologue. I'll pick a few things to get a sense of where they are.
He says to a host of Fox and Friends.
I'm sorry?
He says to a host of Fox and Friends.
You're on the weekends. That's different. That doesn't count. I watch only Fox and Friends on the weekends. But so with Morning Joe, though, because I call it traipsing through the enemy camp, I get to sort of see a lot of what it is that they say. I mean, he's a guy who he said recently, to your point, I'm more conservative than anybody who's running as a Republican this year. Well, I mean, that's flatly insane because he actually he believes in Soros DAs. He believes in the radical redistribution of wealth. He believes in the massive government spending and the welfare state. I mean, I go there all day. It's completely insane. But with Donald Trump, I think what's happened, I know this isn't like a Rogan thing. We've got 3 hours, so I'll try to get to this real quick. But with Donald Trump, what's happened is that a lot of people who thought they were in it for the fight, I think have been exposed as really just being in it for themselves. You and I have also had jobs that weren't in media, and I always think that that's an interesting indicator. Like I've showed up somewhere where nobody was asking my opinion. I was just doing a job. I've had a few of these jobs. I know you have too. I think that for some of the people, especially if this was their aspiration very early on, to be that person in the media who is listened to or who is read widely, et cetera, that became more important than, it's just good old-fashioned narcissism. It became more important than what's best for the movement. I mean, you've got Democrats openly saying that, 230-pound guys should be able to play volleyball in high school against girls because that's what the party demands. You know what I mean? Like truly insane stuff.
All right. Well, he kicks off here in about an hour and a half. The Clay Travis and Buck Sexton show nationwide, over 500 stations, 12 to 3. He's also got the Buck Sexton show, which you can get Apple, Spotify, everywhere, iHeartRadio. He is my friend, and I really appreciate the time you gave me today on Election Day. Appreciate it, Buck.
Thank you. Can I tell you one thing, by the way, that I haven't been able to tell you real quick? And people don't even know this yet on the radio show. Wife and I are expecting, so I am joining you in the ranks soon here of fatherhood, which is very exciting. So people keep asking, they're like, when's it happening? I'm like, I promise. Wife and I are doing everything we can. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
Best thing that ever happened.
Yeah.
Best thing in your life, man. Best job you ever had. Best job you ever had.
Because I think it's very admirable. You're a true family man with a lovely wife and a beautiful family. So anyway, all right. I'll send you a big hug. I know you got to do a show.
I can't wait to meet your growing family. All right, thank you so much, Buck Sexton. By the way, this is the Will Kane Show, streaming live at foxnews.com, the Fox News YouTube channel, and the Fox News Facebook page. We've got a huge jumbo-packed edition coming up a little later. Buck's co-host Clay Travis, Dave Portnoy from Barstool Sports. Hit subscribe on YouTube, and you'll get reminders all week long because we're going to be doing big shows. Perhaps joined later this week by Stephen A. Smith, definitely joined by Brett Baer, Bill Hemmer, and a whole host of guests here this week. Subscribe on Spotify or Apple. If you're not listening to Clay and Buck at noon, well, you definitely should be listening to Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon. He joins me now on the Will Kane Show. Sit up straight, Jimmy.
I know my posture, by the way.
Broadcasting.
Holy heck. I look like a cowboy called Clint Feastwood.
An overweight cowboy.
Feastwood.
Yeah, that's me. Good to see you, man.
Posture's
Happy
my
election
hardest
day.
thing, man.
Yeah. Me
Happy
too.
election day. It's yeah, posture's tough, and I sit on a couch with no back for 4 hours every Saturday and Sunday, and I don't know. But you do more deadlifts.
But you know what? You know what it is, though? You're more conscious because you want to clobber Hegseth half the time, so it keeps you on edge. You know what I mean? You never know when you're going to have to throw a clothesline, but I kid. But good to see you, man.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Or I might have to throw in some kind of sumo costume and bounce bodies with Pete Hegseth, and then transition and talk about a presidential election. Speaking of that, Jimmy, you're a great guy to run this by. Big endorsement today for Donald Trump. Yesterday, Joe Rogan, he tweeted out his endorsement, which, by the way, I don't know that he ever has. He said he was a Bernie Sanders guy in the past, but to be so full-throated the way he was yesterday was pretty freaking eye-opening. Now, how big of an impact does it have? I would ask a couple of things. Did Trump already being on with him for 3 hours? Has Trump already got that young man's vote? But when Rogan comes out and says, I just had Elon Musk, he made the most compelling case for Trump you'll ever hear, and I agree with him every step of the way. For the record, yes, that's an endorsement of Trump. Mm-hmm. How big of an impact do you think that is, Jimmy?
It's huge, but to be clear, it still doesn't change the fact that Marianne Williamson is going to win this thing. And I think we should just come clean with the American people. I mean, I believe she's at 0.8% in New Hampshire right now. It's within striking distance. Here's the deal on a serious note. The reason endorsements like Rogan's matter more than a traditional celebrity endorsement is because he's built up a trust with his listener. He talks to them for 3 hours a day. And we've watched him build towards this with other guests that were pro-Trump. And, of course, Trump and RFK and Elon's multiple appearances. But the fact that over the course of time they've built to this endorsement and he's kind of led his audience down this path, carries more weight in their lives, both intellectually and emotionally, than when, like, Cardi B shows up and reads off a phone. You know what I'm saying? Or George Clooney shows up for an hour, raises $35 million, and then tells you 2 days later the guy you donated to has dementia. Okay, there's a different
right.
What a funny how once the check's cleared, he was like, "Oh yeah, by the way, Biden has dementia." Anyway, thanks for the money. Vote Kamala.
Out.
Yep. And I think that's the challenge here for the Democrats and for the country as a whole. Tonight we're going to find out who actually does have more influence over the electorate in this day and age. Is it the citizen journalist on social media? Or is it the legacy media that's wildly partisan and has openly discredited themselves at every turn? And I think this is the grand finale for them, win or lose. We both see it, trending towards the digital space.
Boy, I think so, Jimmy. That is the sub-race going on underneath the presidential race. Of course, at the top of the line is Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump, but there is a subtext. There's another battle going on, and that is what is the most influential way to get out your message. Mm-hmm. Because the legacy media is lockstep, outside of the existence of Fox News, lockstep, not just for Kamala Harris, not just biased, but propagandizing and lying for Kamala Harris. The Liz Cheney thing is beyond the pale, accusing Donald Trump of wanting to execute Liz Cheney. Beyond the pale. Mm-hmm. But Donald Trump's done a very online campaign. Theo Vaughn, Full Send podcast, the All In podcast, Joe Rogan. Now, there is some question out there. Has he been too online? Now, he also does TV, we should point out, and he loves TV. And I've heard him say TV is underrated, actually. But it'll be a real indictment. I think it is the nail in the coffin of propagandizing legacy media.
And the truth is, him being online as much as he has is an asset, if only because it's humanized him. What all of these appearances, McDonald's, the garbage truck, the Al Smith dinner, going on Rogan, it makes it so much harder for the Democrats to sell the idea that he's an existential threat, he's Hitler, he's going to end democracy. There have been too many interactions with the human side of Trump for the Democrats to close that sale. That's why I think he's going to win if the turnout is on par with the polls. It's because when I'm out there on the street now, think of it this way. We did a package Saturday night, Fox News Saturday night, where I interviewed 100 people in Times Square, okay? The tally on that was about 85 to 15 Trump, but what's so significant is of that 85, about 60 of them were black men. Now rewind back to the summer of 2020. It would be unfathomable that in that summer when the country was on fire and we were torching police stations, that black men would be openly declaring that if Trump doesn't win, it's rigged. okay, he has penetrated a lot of social circles he never had access to because the best surrogates he's had have been in this administration. They've made a better case for his presidency than he ever could, and it's allowed people to openly declare their support for him, which has opened up a lot of new doors, man.
Do you think, so that's the question, Jimmy, and look, you and I have fun, and I want to have a fun conversation. Look, I don't hold myself out as an expert, and I doubt you do as well, on like early returns and turnout and that sort of thing.
Nope.
But it is going to be the story of the day, Jimmy, like who turns out.
Yep.
Is it women? Is it women that vote for Kamala Harris? Is it Republican women? I keep hearing that story over and over, who might vote for Kamala Harris. Or is it black men who will show up and vote for Donald Trump? I don't know, and I don't know that you or I know, but I think when we wake up tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, when this is over, that will be the story.
Yep. The only thing I want to add to that is all of these Democratic dads who keep posting these videos about how they're voting Kamala so their daughter can have an abortion someday. It is weird to me that no Democratic dad is saying that so their son can have an abortion someday. It's like they made up the whole men can get pregnant thing, Will. I don't understand.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Right. How you dare forget your son.
Yeah. And you know, they say, like, you can't electioneer and you can't wear campaign merch to the polls. Like, the woman online in front of me this morning had a COVID mask on. I'm like, that's a Kamala shirt. There is no one voting in a COVID mask that is voting for Trump. Nobody.
That's fair. I saw a lady in the diner a minute ago wearing a mask, and I was like, well, I kind of know where that's going. Yeah. But how about this? My cameraman, Rick, just pointed this out to me. He said, hey, you know what was genius about Donald Trump wearing a safety vest to signify the garbage comment? Is that right now everybody's going to polls fighting traffic, and there's somebody standing around the poll center with the reflector vest on because that's what you got to wear. And now you go, is that a Trump supporter?
Whole new world, man, but he did. He's winning the optics battle. I love it. It's going to be a great show, man.
Yeah. What do you got coming up today on your show? We don't want to miss it. As soon as the Will Kane show is over, by the way, Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, and it's a must listen because if you sit through 3 hours of my show, you leave feeling like you too could get a nationally syndicated talk show. So empowerment is the message of the day. But we're doing what you're doing, okay? The country's on fire. We're roasting some marshmallows, and we're going to have a good time yucking it up and kind of forecasting the way this goes. My prediction, if you want to know, okay, they say if Trump's doing well, there's going to be early indicators in Georgia and states like that. Okay, now if Trump's doing really well, okay, they say around 2 a.m., Doug Emhoff's nanny will get a "you up" text. And so that's what the decision desk told me earlier. So we'll see. We'll watch your cell phones. Desk. Watch your phones.
Good. Okay. All right, more of that on Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon. He's the host of also Fox News Saturday Night with Jimmy Fallon. He's my friend. I'm so glad he gave us a little time today here on the Will Kane Show. Thank you, Jimmy.
You're the best, man. Happy Election Day.
All right, happy Election Day to you. All right, here's what I want to do. I'm going to take a small break, 90 seconds. In that time, I'm going to head over to Apple, Spotify, hit subscribe, so you can always hang out with us here on The Will Kane Show. Subscribe on YouTube. Huge audience today. You're dropping into the comments section. You're part of the Willisha. When we come back, we will have former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Brooke Singman of Fox News to break down what we're seeing already in early voting. Polls are open everywhere, including here in North Carolina. Let's see if we can read where we're headed in the race for the president. Coming up on The Will Kane Show.
I'm Benjamin Hall, Fox News senior correspondent and New York Times best-selling author, and I'm searching for heroes. Every Monday, I'll speak with a few silent but noteworthy heroes, everyday people who illuminate stories of compassion and are true embodiments of heroism. Make sure you subscribe to my podcast, Searching for Heroes with Benjamin Hall, wherever you download podcasts, and please leave a rating and a review.
Today is Election Day in America, and Fox News Radio has wall-to-wall coverage. Starting tonight with a 1-hour preview show with Brett Baer, Martha McCallum, and Dana Perino. Then Jared Halpern and Jessica Rosenthal lead Democracy 24's state-by-state coverage of the all-important presidential election and balance of power in Congress. Along with Fox News reporters throughout the country, it's coverage you can't hear anywhere else. Listen starting at 6 p.m. Eastern at foxnewsradio.com and on the Fox News app.
The world of business moves fast. Stay on top of it with the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday. Fox Business reporters, anchors, and hosts will bring you beneath the stock market speculation and boardroom drama to tell you about the biggest business stories of today. Whether you're on Main Street or Wall Street, Fox Business is invested in you.
Listen to the Fox Business Rundown every Monday and Friday at foxbusinesspodcasts.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts.
Welcome back to the Will Kane Show, coming to you live in this special Election Day episode from the sweet spot, Concord, North Carolina, one of the 7 all-important battleground swing states. If you're out here in Concord, North Carolina, I'll be hanging out for the next hour and 15 minutes. You can come down here. Perhaps you get on the show, like Charlie, who led off our show today, telling me why he disagrees with me on basically everything that I stand for and believe. But that's what we do here on the Will Kane Show, and you should subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or on YouTube. But polls are open. People are voting. Some 60 to 70% of the electorate seems to have already voted in early voting or absentee or mail-in balloting. So we have some indication. We have some ability to read the tea leaves. Let's do so with 2 people that know. How about Fox News digital political correspondent Brooke Singman and former House Speaker Kevin McCarthy joining us on the Will Kane Show. Good morning to you both.
Good morning. Good to see you,
morning,
Brooke.
guys. Hi, House Speaker McCarthy. How are you?
Glad to have you both on. I'll start with you, Mr. Speaker. This is, we keep trying to compare this to the past, and that's the best that I can do. Kevin, is compared to 2020, 2016.